Peace. Good evening. I'd like to welcome you back to another edition of the Foul Playland. As always, I am your foul player. Wanted to make this video regarding some of the news that came out regarding Bud suing, prospectively, Top Rank. I'll read the article to you that I read, and I actually found out this news from watching CJ Goodfellas' channel. And shout out to him for showing love, and in addition for providing this little story that I'm going to tell you now. And I want to give you my take too. I'm going to pull up the article in a second. But as always, guys, thanks for even showing any love that you guys have given me, like, especially recently, bro. Like, when I first came on to YouTube recently again, like, because I hadn't come on for a minute. I hadn't come on for like 3 months, let's say. But right when I came back on, it was basically to talk shit about Errol Spence. And like the fact that I thought that he was evading this fight, how corny PBC is, whatever have you. But I think I had like 118 subs like before I departed like 3 months ago. And then when I came back off the rip, like I lost like 6, little by little. Dudes that probably thought I was okay so long as I wasn't torching Al Heyman, God forbid, or Top Rank. I mean, or what do you call it? So long as I wasn't dissing PVC, I was okay. Or I was subbable. Like once I started talking shit about PVC and Errol Spence with regularity, like that they all switched up on me. They all defected. But in spite of all that, though, like dudes like CJ Goodfella, like Southpaw, like have shown me love like along the way, like since I started coming back, and I want to thank them big time. Mark Nash showed me love one time too. You know what I'm saying? Like, so at the end of the day, that means a lot to a little cat like me. Bob Sanders said top prank. Yes, indeed. I mean, like all promotions to me ain't shit. Like there's like at this stage, there's barely one better than the other for me. Like, I'm just being candid. Like they're all whack. I don't ride for any of them. Like, I think I've been saying that Bob Arum was a piece of crap even way before this. Like, I mean, I've known of Bob Arum being a piece of crap in the 90s. But are any other promoters markedly better or worse than him? No. Do I think Bob Arum potentially could be racist? I think so. I mean, like, do I think a lot of what Bud was saying, like in that report, do I think a lot of that stuff is true? Absolutely, no denying it. Even people that don't like Bud gotta admit to that. But at the end of the day, like, would this put us closer to an Errol Spence fight? I don't think so. I think if I'll get to that in a minute, but let me actually get into the article before I start any of all that. Like, let me pull up the article, and hope you guys had a good day. I hope you guys watched my other video that I just put up too. I think YouTube is gonna either A, pull it down, or B, what do you call it? Or like B, like give me a hard time in like uploading it. But it is what it is. Like, But this is the article as per the New York Post, written by Emily Smith. And I actually read the New York Post every day. I don't buy the New York Post. I read the online shit every day. But that's like the paper of record, or one of the papers of record for New York City, besides the Daily News. No, New York Times is not the paper of record for New York. New York Times is the paper for the country. And it's a piece of shit too. Or it used to be okay. But the Post has better sports shit, even though it's more conservative. But I don't read like a lot of the shit that's happening in New York a lot of times, or political shit like from New York Post. I go to other sources, if you will, to get my political stuff. Just in case an asshole tries to bring up the fact that it's a conservative paper. And I hope you guys duly note that I am conservative through and through. But let me read the article. This could be the most bruising legal boxing bout of all time. Welterweight champion Terence Crawford is challenging famed boxing promoter Bob Arum in a bombshell lawsuit, claiming the promoter's revolting racial bias prevented him from landing big fights and earning tens of millions of dollars, according to court papers filed in Nevada. Everything he said there is true, although I don't know if he could sue for that. But let me keep going. Crawford, who signed a deal with 90-year-old New York-born Arum and his company Top Rank in 2011, alleges in this complaint that Arum simply does not care about, support, know how to promote black fighters, and deliberately didn't build him into a marquee pay-per-view star. Crawford, 34, famously split with Arum at a November 2021 press conference, saying he wanted to become a free agent to better land his dream bout with Errol Spence Jr. The fighter has hired top attorney Brian Friedman and is suing for almost $10 million, but the blows he rains on Arum in the lawsuit are far more damaging. I could skip over some of this, Bill. It mentions Bob's stepson in it too, but he says Crawford alleges in the further fighting talk in the filing, Arum clearly shows his revolting racial bias to impact the fighters he is obliged to promote. The suit also mentions other big names in the sport, such as Floyd Mayweather Jr., as having been mistreated by Arum, who scoffed at legal allegations when reached by the Post. So Bob Arum kind of like already like commented on the issue. And remember, Bob Arum is a lawyer by trade. And he speaks like a lawyer a lot of times too. Like not just in this. Like Bob Arum, like if it kind of like legally like puts him in a bind, like Bob Arum, like historically, I've known that he don't even put certain rumors out. Like he doesn't like really like snitch on himself, if you will. Like I know how lawyers talk. But Bob Arum, I think, said, Bob, don't call a man racist when really this is because of your own failures. Arum, who claims he lost $20 million on Crawford, told the Post he marketably didn't measure up to his marketability didn't measure up to his ability. And that has absolutely nothing to do with what race he is. The outstanding fact is that Terrence's numbers on pay-per-view has always been dreadful because of a failure to market itself. I think that's partially true. But I'll continue. I'll clear that up. I think it's partially true as far as Crawford not marketing himself. Now, if you're a Errol nut hugger and you're here watching this live, no, that doesn't mean that Errol knows how to market himself or that PBC knows how to market Errol or anybody else under the umbrella for that matter. PBC is not producing anything that they've created from the ground up outside of Errol Spence, who is a normal ass boxer. He's not like a star like that. You know, Crawford and Errol are pretty much neck and neck as far as the people that know him. If you know Errol Spence, you know of Bud Crawford. It's not like, you go walk up to any random asshole and say, oh, you know who Errol Spence or Bud Crawford is? They're not going to know. So don't come to me and say like, oh, well, and I'm only saying this because a lot of channels in the past have mentioned, oh, well, even Bob says that he but I'm pretty sure or even Bob says that Bud Crawford is unmarketable. Even Bob said it, so I'm pretty sure a lot of those same channels are going to say that Bob Arum is a racist, which I may agree with you in that sense. But don't tell me that the shit that you've been saying, like the assessment of a racist when it comes to a so-called brother, that his assessment, which you use in your arguments to shit on what do you call it? Bud Crawford in the past, don't try to circle back and try to front now, you're looking out for Bud's best interest, or you see, the white guy's always trying to pull us down. No, you use the white guys like ammunition to pull Bud down for many years. And I'm only saying that because I think IML Will made the piece of shit that he is, IML Will made a content on this subject today, and I think I ain't watch it, but it said Bob Arum is treating black fighters like slaves. He probably has been, but at the end of the day, have you called Bud Crawford a slave endearingly, or have you called Bud Crawford a slave in the past couple of years, which I know you have? Have you called him a slave like as a term of, oh, we gotta get that man out of there and help him? Nah, you guys been shitting on Bud for the better part of like 4 years, 5 years. So don't come like double back now and shit, like to try to get a stamp on your black card and shit and try to ride for Bud at this stage of the game. But let me continue. It is alleged that in the papers, exclusively obtained by the Post, that for years, professional boxers and others in the sports world have called out Top Rank's Bob Arum for a disparate treatment of black boxers, including those very black boxers that Top Rank is contractually obligated to promote. Because this is boxing, a sport with a checkered history, and because Arum is now dismissed as just a grumpy old white man, Arum continues to make racist and bigoted statements and purposely damage the reputation of black boxers without any consequence. This is generally because the affected boxers who are in long-term contract with Top Rank fear that if they speak up, they will be placed on the sideline and not given the opportunity to fight during the life of their deal, which could be 5 to 7 years. Crawford is ranked as the world's second best active boxer pound for pound by ESPN and has been making his case as the most talented fighter in the world. His lawsuit alleges it is painfully clear that Top Rank, and especially Arum, judges people based on their race. Arum's sordid history with the athletes of color, especially black fighters, and his bias favoring white and Latino fighters is well documented and known throughout the boxing world. Well, I mean, I want to double back on that last paragraph because this is pretty much the same shit that PBC is doing. It continues. His lawsuit alleges it is painfully clear that Top Rank and especially Arum judges people based on their race. Arum's sordid history with athletes of color, especially black fighters, and his bias favoring white and Latino fighters is well documented and known throughout the boxing world. Now, the last part is something that the PBC does. As far as bias favoring white and Latino fighters, and you can't argue with me one bit. I mean, case in point, Leo Santa Cruz, Caleb Plant, like these dudes that are giving opportunities that the brothers on PBC don't get to fight like big fights or to avoid action. Let me continue. Arum makes no secret of his deep-seated bias against black fighters. For example, he called legendary black boxer Floyd Mayweather soft and claimed that he shoots up cars, reinforcing an individual racist stereotype with no basis in fact. That sounds like more of a personal story, like he shoots up cars, but I could see like where they say that it's reinforcing a stereotype. But he consistently mocks rival boxing promoter Al Heyman, who is a black man, and his relationship with black fighters, saying that Al Heyman would steer a black fighter away from Crawford out of a sense of brotherhood. I don't know what he meant by that part. He consistently mocks rival boxing promoter Al Heyman, who is a black man, and his relationship with black fighters, saying Al Heyman would steer a black fighter away from fighting Crawford out of a sense of brotherhood. I think I know what he's saying. I think he's saying that Heyman steers his own crop away from black fighters. Steers his that Bob Arum said that Heyman steers a black fighter away from fighting Bud Crawford out of a sense of brotherhood. I don't know if I seen that quote anywhere, like Bob Arum saying that, but I wouldn't be surprised. The suit even counterpunches. Arum even famously profited from staging fights in South Africa during the height of apartheid, dismissing the brutal and bloody regime as mere politics and saying he did not care about it as long as he could make money. I'm not even tripping on that, bro, because I would host a fight in hell if I'm a businessman, and if you gloss over other shit like in because of business, like i.e. Errol Spence like rushing into another fight because of business, like if somebody does something to make a buck, I mean, as long as you're shitting on everybody for trying to make a buck, I see no problem with doing a fight in South Africa, in spite of the apartheid shit that was happening there in the early 80s. And, if somebody comes and watches this after the fact, oh, well, apartheid was way worse. Like, I understand that, but motherfuckers are doing fights in Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, they have like legalized executions, cutting people's hands off, whippings, legal. And trust me that they're not whipping Saudi Arabians a lot of times. If you go to Saudi Arabia, there's probably like 10% Saudi Arabians, and everybody else is either Indian, African, Pakistani, Filipino, and these are the cats a lot of times that go and get executed or fucking whipped in public legally. So don't trip on me for because I'm not endorsing fucking yeah, Sharia law, Bob Sanders. You're absolutely right. Um, Bob Arum, I didn't see your comments earlier. I'm sorry. But Bob Arum definitely more look at their stable every week. It's same. Suarez versus Lopez, Jimenez versus Juarez. Yeah, no, I feel what you're saying. As far as that, and again too, I'm a Latin cat, through and through. Have I peeped that they've done this stuff like in the past? Absolutely. They've always done this stuff. But that shit is happening all over boxing. I mean, PBC is running the same game in a sense too. I mean, like maybe it's not as worst of a look because Arum ultimately is a black cat, but look at the card that's coming up with Mario Barrios and what's his face, Mario Barrios and Keith Thurman. The whole undercard is a bunch of Ez last names and Martin. But that's all Latin cats on that undercard. So I mean, like just like there's no like promoter out there that's like really capping for brothers or like and I just think that I want to see the best fights, bro. Like it doesn't take that mix of Latin and black or white and black or white and Latin. Like I mean, yeah, that gives it some intrigue, but I mean, like I remember when Floyd fought kind of like older, like Sugar Shane, like that was still a dope ass fight. I mean, like, and it was a dope leading up to it. I remember when Mayweather fought um Zab Judah. I couldn't eat that day, bro. I was like, like that, like, and that was all kinds of hood in that fight. They were both like, I mean, leading up to it, they were both saying the same shit, a bunch of hood shit with the entourages. That's my kind of party, bro. Like, like that shit don't sell. But Leo Santa Cruz, like working on the mitts and like having his talking about his dad's cancer. Oh wow, that's a big selling point. Like, get out of here, bro. Like these promoters, all of them front. But at the end of the day, I mean, again, a lot of times, bro, I come on like to YouTube boxing to pop shots at other content creators and the shit that they run. Because 2 weeks ago, a lot of these content creators were probably fronting like, oh, Bud's a slave, like, like happy about the shit. But now that Bud's putting out a salvo into the air and saying, like, well, listen, yeah, fucking the shit that been happening to me at Top Rank in the past, like these dudes are fronting on me in the past, like, then they want to go jump on like the whole, well, yeah, Bud's a brother. Like, listen, like motherfuckers haven't been treating Bud like no brother, like for the better part of half a decade. Like, don't let these cats try to front on you now and shit, because it's looking like we're not gonna get this Bud Errol fight. Right now, like Bud is without a promoter. Not that he needs one, but one avenue of making the Errol versus Bud fight. At the end of the day, like one of the rumors you were hearing that Bud was gonna re-sign with Top Rank for God knows what reason, whether to make that fight or not, or just to make other fights. Like there was one of the possibilities. What outside of MTK Global, like a lot of people, if they had to put money on it, probably put as much money or more money on Bud re-signing with Top Rank. Period. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, it doesn't look like that's gonna happen. And I'm not saying, oh, Bud shouldn't have done that. Like, no, I don't know. I mean, would I have advised for it? No, because I mean, it doesn't look like it's a like a winnable case like that. Like, as far as like the stuff that Bud is alleging. Do I think that Bob Arum did shit on Bud and other black fighters along the way historically? Even of course, absolutely. But I don't think he's gonna get like bread off of it if that's what you're asking. I don't think that they're gonna say that there's a tangible amount of money he lost due to lack of promotion. Even though I think there probably is, like, I think that Bud was probably offered a Manny Pacquiao fight or whatever, or probably more of a promises in a negotiation with, or a promise to get an Errol Spence fight um by Bob. You know what I'm saying? Like, did Bob do everything he could? I don't think so. Absolutely not. But do I think he's gonna they're gonna give him bread? I don't know. Bob Sanders also wrote, yeah, PBC too. I think the best is to be a free agent. Yeah, they all do. And the thing is that a lot of these PBC cats front like they're free agents, but they don't move like they're free agents, especially when it comes to people that you want to see them fight. You know, they all do it, marketing and targeting a certain demographic. They Danielle Robinson, thank you for coming through too. Yeah, they all do it, but it's almost like a cheap way to do it, like, to me, or like it's like a whack way, like, in a sense. I mean, like, if I had a Latin fighter and a black fighter that were gonna fight each other, would I draw that up? Um, of course I would. I would show the black boxer like around his peeps, you know, and hopefully like they're not like, you know, mixed race couples and shit like that, and their family looks like they're totally opposite from the Latin fighter and his surroundings and his background. I think that if I were a promoter, I would draw that up as much as I could. But is that the only way to make a fight? Fuck no. Like, I like, yo, honestly, like, and I'm not like trying to gain points or nothing, but like, besides like the like really smaller weights, there's like really not a lot of Latin cats like fighting right now that like I'm like, wow, I gotta see this fight. Like, Tiafimo is one of them. I mean, like, maybe part of that is because we're from the same hood. Who else? Like, do I stop like what I'm doing for a Canelo fight? No. Do I stop what I'm doing for trying to think of other Latin cats? Ruiz? Not really. I mean, if anything, I stop more for like these little mosquito fighters at like 120, and you know what I'm saying, like, because they can't avoid each other and they're dope fights. But besides that, it's not like none of these guys, like, even Canelo in a like, you can't, like, you know, like, topple them, or you can't work unless it's with one of these Latin cats. I don't think that's the case right now. I mean, the biggest fight in boxing is between, or the biggest potential fight in boxing is between two black cats. You know, let me see. Yeah, it is the reason UFC does so well as is because they're not structured in this way. All under the banner, some same promotion. They're not perfect either, but their model maintains best fighting the best. It does. I agree with you, and I would do it the same exactly. Yeah, for sure, man. Like, you know, if it's there, I would play it up. Like, I mean, if a, like, for instance, if I had a boxer like Adrian Broner, Adrian Broner is definitely gonna do some hood shit on the camera, bro. That shit will sell itself. Like, now if I had to pair Adrian Broner against when he fought Sean Porter, like, did that fight have less intrigue because Adrian Broner wasn't fighting fucking I don't know, like some other Latin cat? No, bro, it was an all right fight. And I think Sean Porter has no character. I don't think Sean Porter is a good like seller, like, or sells himself really well. Does Sean Porter sell himself more than Bud Crawford does? Maybe a little bit, but it's not like he's mega intriguing like that. But do those fights get made? Sure they do, bro. Like, and are those bad fights? Not one bit. Bro, that was a nice fight. Um, but these dudes be acting brand new, like when they want to, bro. Like, you know, content creators included, but these promoters, too. Like, they act like they, like, when they want to, they act like certain barriers are impassable. You know, like, we can't get money for this guy or that guy, but they could somehow find a bunch of money for Canelo. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, whatever they're gonna pay Canelo to reportedly fight Charlo soon, they could have ran the Errol versus Bud fight twice with that money. If Errol, if Canelo made 30 or 40 million to fight Caleb Plant, a nobody. Caleb Plant is a nobody. He's not talented. He's not skilled. He's just a bigger guy, swirler. But or Caleb Plant gets a lot of love from these other content creators for the swirl factor. But they'll shit on Bud, even though he's with the sister. Like, and you could tell it's the same sister his whole life. Like, he's not like fucking running around with an IG model that he met in 2017, who takes all her pictures with her tongue out and shit like that. No, Bud's wife looks like a chick from my hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's a good thing. But I don't even know what point I was trying to allude to. I'm doing that a lot lately, man. I be losing my train of thought. But you know, a lot of this stuff, has it been happening? Yeah. Like, as far as like these promoters playing themselves, if they got a chance to shit on brothers, believe me, they're gonna shit on brothers. And I hope you guys watch my other video that I put today as far as the representation of brothers on TV, especially commercials. And it's not good. But it is what it is. Like, but do people have to like give up on the sport, or like not take an active role on the sport because like the sport is becoming so whack, especially for the brothers at times? No, I think we should fucking bring the sport on his knees in every venture. I think we should bring the sport on his knees by not paying him pay-per-view. I think we should shit on these fighters at every turn. I think that Bud is doing a lot more to get this fight with Errol Spence, but is that going to stop me from shitting on Bud in the future? No, absolutely not. Do I think Bud should have done more? Fuck yeah. I think Bud should have been showing his ass, like, pause, like, to fight Errol. I think he should have been pulling up on Errol, like, when he was with his wifey, with his kids. Like, you know, that would have been cool. Like, a lot of these dudes were like, you know, well, I don't respect that kind of shit. You know, Bud acting weird, bro. Like, you know, nah, bro. Like that would have been fantastic. But, you know, it is what it is, though, man. Like, the sport is just at a point where, you know, if we don't switch it up, like, then it's gonna keep getting shittier and shittier. Like, you know, especially for brothers, again, because if they're pulling out this kind of money for Canelo, guaranteed money, like Canelo, I really, really doubt that Canelo's biggest fight right now to date would draw the supposed 800,000 pay-per-views that he did against Caleb Plant. There's no way he pulled 800,000 pay-per-views with Caleb Plant. Like, I was just looking through numbers of certain fights, and Oscar De La Hoya back in the day did like 900,000 something pay-per-views against somebody good. It wasn't like no bum ass dude. It might have been even Sugar Shane. But I remember when Sugar Shane was fighting De La Hoya. Those are big deal fights. And I remember a lot of the De La Hoya fights were all, like, a lot of them were big deal fights. But and I remember a lot of the De La Hoya fights. You go to the barbers, everybody was talking about those fights leading up to it. Nobody in my path has talked about Canelo versus Plant before the fight, and nobody talked about that fight when the bigger attraction, Canelo, beat Caleb Plant, who was a bigger guy and supposedly making history. Nobody was talking about that shit after the fact. They're not talking about it now. They weren't talking about it 2 days after the fight was and Canelo won. So, like, if Canelo's getting overpaid by these promoters, I don't know why the hell they're doing it, because it's not like all the you know, even Charlo versus Canelo, they're not gonna make that bread back. If they pay Canelo the 40 million that he got off Caleb Plant, which I don't think they're gonna do, I think they're gonna pay him more than that. You know, that's a losing effort, but it's a losing effort, and you're overpaying a guy who's a Latin cat, like Top Rank would do. A guy who's a Latin cat that looks like a straight up white guy, bro. Like, I look like a white guy, and I'm a Latin cat. Like, Canelo looks like way more like a white, like a way whiter cat than whatever you could confuse me for. You know what I'm saying? Like, but who's doing it though? It's all these promoters that are trying to hook up Canelo, like wasting money for him to fight Yildirim and Caleb Plant. But who's doing it recently? Who's doing it? Who's the latest incarnation of overpaying Canelo and giving him guaranteed money? The last instance was Caleb Plant. The next instant, and that was PBC. The next instant you're hearing about, that's Charlo, also PBC. So miss me with that shit, bro. Like that, and I hate saying that word, but it's a corny ass argument. And no, Charlo is not gonna go in there and beat Canelo. Unless Canelo comes down at 160, there's pretty much no shot for Charlo. But Canelo's going to make Charlo go up to like 168 or more. Give him some corny ass stipulations. Was probably gonna go into the fight like at a big disadvantage, and get rocked by Canelo all night, or get a decision. Like unless he gets Canelo out of there by knocking him out, Charlo's not gonna win that fight. So what's that gonna do ultimately? And even if Charlo did win that fight, is Charlo the guy you want to build with moving forward? Like as far as a guy that you get that money back with, or he ain't gonna get no shit outside the ring. Like Charlo, like Jamal is considered the more easygoing Charlo. It's not like this guy is like a standard of stability and shit. Like the guy who I want to build my company upon. Not one bit, bro. That dude's an idiot too, bro. Dudes are probably like sniffing. Like if you look at their videos, like which people put online, it looks like these dudes are like fucking lockjaw, as if they sniff some shit like 10 minutes before making these videos. These dudes be getting twisted, drunk. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if Charlo gets a bunch of money, if he were to beat Canelo, which he won't, what's that going to do for him ultimately, long term? Like, what's that going to do for PBC? Not much. The only money the only real way to make money, if Charlo were to win, which I don't think he would be by rematching Canelo and paying him again. And that's what it is. Now I don't want to see Charlo Canelo not even half as much as I want to see Bud versus Errol. Not even close. Like with what you're gonna pay Canelo 2 times, you could have made that fight like 4 or 5 times between Errol Spence and Bud Crawford. And it's not like PBC is the worst in that regard. To me, I'm taking pop shots at PBC because a lot of dudes online act like PBC is like Wakanda or some shit like that. That's just some fucking like dudes wearing kufis and all this shit, and like the African print pad, like those African prints all over the place. Oh well, these brown brothers are just as much brothers. Like, no, bro, that shit ain't happening in PBC, bro. PBC's fronting just as much as Bob Arum. And I'm not making this video to take pop shots at PBC. I'm taking more pop shots at the dudes who are now like, oh well, Bob Arum's treating Bud like a slave. Like, my man, you were happy to call Bud a slave a month ago. I am ill will. Like, you were happy to call Bob Arum, or Bud Crawford a slave, days ago even, or making it seem like Bud's fronting, or he's like a reprehensible person for God knows what reason a couple days ago. Now all of a sudden, the condition that Bud was in all these years, i.e., like what you guys were saying that he was a slave and all this shit. Now it's a big deal. Before it was funny. But now that, you could get some brownie points, now it's a big deal. Stop fronting, bro. Like, keep the same standard all the time, and there ain't no issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, but and like again, bro, like anybody reaching me behind the scenes to try to like get me to pivot, don't even try it, bro. Like, cause that's only gonna make me do worse shit. Like don't recommend shit that I should be saying differently, like, because you're trying to play coverage for somebody, or you're trying to tell other people behind the scenes that you talked and you were trying to like reel me in. No, nobody's gonna reel in shit. You won't be in front of me with a ratchet and make me reel in. Not one bit. Like, I'm gonna do more shit in that vein. And it's not like that I'm making shit up or inventing shit. Other cats on YouTube are making shit up and inventing stories. I haven't made up a story. I don't care about these boxers like that, including Bud Crawford. I'm not capping for these dudes like that, including Tiafimo, who's from my neighborhood. Like, fucking, I give a shit about these dudes. I'll talk bad about Tio on this platform and then say it in his face in the 40 block or 50 block in Sunset, bro. It makes no difference to me, bro. Like, the dudes are like young cats, Errol and Tio. These dudes are 30 years old. Think I'm over here trying to curtail or make these dudes look like they're doing something better than the next man because of whatever? Fuck them all, bro. Like, if they ain't fighting in the ring, bro, like that's the only time I care about them. Like, if they like be like 12 rounds. Besides that, bro, what these dudes do on the gram, like, what these dudes do like outside of it, doesn't matter. Unless it's something like getting launched out of a car where you're delaying fights. You know what I'm saying? Like, but let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. With that, I'm out. And before I get to that too, I'm like, this fight, I already told you guys, I don't think we're getting this fight, bro. Like, from Jump Street. Now, today's news, Do I think that we're gonna get this fight? Do I think that today's news leads me to believe that we're gonna get this fight? I mean, whether it would help or hurt the fight's chances, I honestly got to say it's hurting the fight's chances. You know, but did I think that this fight had like much chance like to like before that? No, not one bit. I've been saying that, bro. Like this doesn't. This is gonna just give ammunition to these other cats. Oh well, even Bob, even Bob has said that Bud Crawford ain't worth it. Like, so what does that tell you? That's what these cats been saying for years. I mean, like, you know, but will Bud's legit written in stone separation from Bob Arum, is that gonna help his chances at this fight? I don't think so. Do I think he should have re-signed with Bob or any of that shit? No. I've never been on this fucking platform once, ever capping for any promoter, bro. They could all rock. I give a shit about any promoter. I give a shit about any production like company. If they were like now, like let me come back. If PBC like says tomorrow we're not gonna charge any pay-per-view like they promised when they first got that company off the ground, or we're gonna try to make our money to pay these fighters through advertisements or whatever the fuck. I don't care. So long as I'm not paying for it. Then yeah, then maybe I would cap for a promoter like that. Or if a promoter was even charging for fights, but they're like ill fights and like they're pay-per-view worthy, or then yeah, I mean like maybe I wouldn't take shots at a promoter like that. But as far as me getting on this platform to cap for one promoter or another, it's never going to happen. I could care less. They're not fighting. To hell with them all. But do I think that this fight has a better chance of getting made now, December 12th? I mean, no, January 12th? I don't think so. I think we're far away from this fight being made, and if I got to put money on it, we're not getting this fight. But that's just me. You know, the any talk of it is becoming more and more distant. Like what you're hearing happened yesterday, like, or the stories that were being reported yesterday regarding Bud walking out of a negotiation like with PBC. It's probably because they were fronting on him. I mean, do I think that after Errol Spence wins against Ugis that they're gonna front on him less? I don't think so. I mean, the only way this fight gets made at this current juncture is kind of like Bud taking far less in negotiations. Like, I mean, Bud's kind of already made it sort of seem like he's not willing to take less. I mean, do I put that on him? Partially. Do I put it on other cats? I mean, like, you know, when the same argument happened in the past, like with Wilder, like when we thought that AJ was fronting on that fight, even though AJ was a lot bigger draw than Wilder. I mean, did I put any blame? Like, did I put some blame on Wilder for saying that he wanted to, you know, is 50-50 or nothing? Not really, because off the rip, Wilder offered like to take 60-40 or like 40%. And then Matchroom Eddie Hearn began to shit on him, saying he's not worth it. And then he's changed his stance to like, all right, like it's gonna be 50-50 or nothing. Now, was I like saying, oh, Wilder, chill, you know, like initially you said 60-40, now you're switching it up. You know, was I on Wilder's ass for that? No, because I mean, like, he thought he was getting played like as a man, and with the low ball offers. If Bud doesn't want to make this fight because he feels he's being lowballed, like, you know, that's on him. I mean, like, but Bud didn't come out here like talking about percentages and stuff off the rip. It was more Errol that was doing shit like that, and he's been doing it. But again, like ultimately the fight doesn't get made. Do I put that blame on Bud? Somewhat, yeah, I will when the fight doesn't get made. But I'm gonna put this more on the lap of where it belongs. Like Errol and PBC, like they're the ones that have been fronting this whole time, and other cats are starting to notice too. I mean, like Some of the cats that listen to this content, like or like that are listening to CJ Goodfellow more now, or Mark Nash. Those are the same cats that were all on the LDBC channels, a couple months ago. But they're starting to see what's up. They know that at somewhere behind the scenes that the LDBC made a commitment to not talk about Bud in a favorable light whenever they got a chance, and to really shit on or to really prop up Errol Spence as much as they could. At some point, they must have made a commitment to doing that. I listen to most of their channels, even to this day. They like none of them really give Bud any favorable coverage at all. Zero. Unless it's like, oh yeah, well, we think he's the pound for pound. That's about it. But pound for pound, I mean, like Bud is making a case on his own. Like, you can't really front on that. That's an easy one. But that's the as much um credit or any like good coverage they'll give Bud. It sounds like that normally. You know what I'm saying? But it's cool seeing a lot of these cats that were on the chats like in LDBC and stuff like that. It's cool to see them like in other people's chat rooms, like in other channels chat rooms, because like I'm not shitting on like all those guys, even like content creators that have lied along the way and invented stories that like which has happened a lot recently. Like I'm not shitting on those cats if they tomorrow start reporting shit down the line. You know what I'm saying? Like start saying like I like shit is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like we think that Errol Spence is kind of like running for this fight because better believe if they continue with the same bullshit like and taking the same stance of we're not gonna say anything negative about Errol regardless. You better believe that if Errol Spence beats Ugas and then they make a bullshit negotiation with Bud Crawford that falls apart and Errol Spence then goes on and rushes into a fight with Keith Thurman, that those dudes are not gonna say anything negative about that shit. They're gonna say Keith Thurman's dope and that he's like a superstar, legendary Keith Thurman. Like fucking when they talk about that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like when at this stage, and even when ultimately this fight doesn't get made, we should be at an uproar. We should be highly pissed. But these dudes ain't pissed, bro. They're propping up a 30-year-old when these dudes are like 55 and damn near dying. Like as far as the content creators and dudes that be in the chat sometimes. Where did you? I'm sorry. Where did you hear he walked out on the PBC? That was a rumor that was covered by Bushido Boxing and by CJ Goodfellow. That's where I heard it from. Now, again, are those sources like no, they're YouTube content creators, yes, but you got other YouTube content creators that have made stories out of thin air, like straight up lied recently, like in the past like month or two, and it's not just one, it's several. So I mean, like I take them at their word. Like I mean, I'm not gonna say I take them at their word. Like it's legit that it happened. It's a rumor, but if do I think that rumor is like sounds outlandish? No, I mean I think I take it with a grain of salt, but it doesn't. It sounds like um it's nothing that I would be surprised by if it was true. Deontay should have took that AJ fight. Yeah, in hindsight, he should have. But when he was doing the whole 50-50 thing and he thought that they were sending him bad offers more through the media, I thought that him taking the 50-50 stance, was his prerogative at that stage. He thought he was getting played and, it is what it is. And should he? I'm sorry, maybe I missed part of your question. It totally backfired. In hindsight, yeah, in retrospect, it really backfired. Why should he? I'm sorry. How did Wilder think he was gonna get? How did Wilder think he was getting played? Has he looked at his box rec? I mean, like if you want to discuss like opponents, I mean, like that's more along the lines of it's nothing I shit on him for at like that hard body because in a sense, Wilder was in the same predicament that Bud finds himself in. He has limited opportunities because dudes have a shot at avoiding it. You know, when you have all the welterweights on PBC, and then they make it seem like you can't make a fight with PBC, if if you're on Top Rank. Meanwhile, Fury, who's on Top Rank, fights Wilder 3 times. You know, then your options are limited. And I think Wilder's options during that time when he was kind of like contending through the media and whatnot against AJ, I think his options were limited at that time too. You know, as to who he could fight. Let me see. Troll. Maybe you're talking about somebody else. Why should he take less? And that's not being Bud Homer. He is the more accomplished fighter. And if they came at him with real numbers and they stopped fighting at PBC, stop fronting at PBC. No, they absolutely are fronting. I'm not gonna like shit on him for if Bud maintains the contention that he's taking now, like as far as saying, like, I'm not gonna take an offer that's not 50-50. I mean, that's his prerogative. Same as like with Wilder, like that was his prerogative. Yeah, it sucks that the fights don't get made, but if you feel like you're getting shitted on, like by somebody else, like say for instance, I'll use this example. Like if I didn't have a car and like somebody came and gave me a ride, and when they pulled up to my house, they say, "Oh, you ain't sitting. You know, you get your ass in the back. Like you can't sit up front." I'm gonna turn right around and go into my house and fucking call an Uber. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that could be a friend of mine that comes up to my house and says, "Oh, well, get in the back." You know, like, or if they were in a pickup truck and they told me to ride in the back with the tools and shit, like they do with the Mexican day laborers. You know, I'm not gonna like that's just, you know, yeah, you're giving me a ride, but you're trying to shit on me in the same like by offering me a ride, but kind of like shitting on me at the same time. Now, if Bud feels that he's getting that treatment from the PBC, like, and doesn't take the fight because of that, I mean, me, random asshole, like sitting in his living room in New Jersey, I mean, I'm gonna suffer in a sense because they don't fight, but I can't really shit on it like that. I mean, like when that shit happened with AJ, I still blame AJ for a large part of that. Like kind of like never really talking like he wanted to fight Wilder, like hard body. But you know, Errol Spence is doing that currently for like way less. Like, is Errol Spence gonna make 5 million, 10 million by fighting Ugas? Absolutely not. If Errol Spence makes 3 million on that fight, it'll be a miracle. And better believe that I'm gonna tell all of you guys, like every time I come on here, not to pay for any of these fights. And believe me, it's extremely easy. I have zero technical know-how when it comes to computers and shit like that, and I stream just about every fight, even with dudes I do like. So all I'm saying is let's keep it real. Let's keep it a buck. A bean all the way. Across the board, no bias, no favoritism, no fake narratives. Nah, that absolutely. Like, you know, and like at the end of the day, if it doesn't make fights pop off, like I try not to give it too much like a burn, but if it's something that you feel like you're getting played as a man, like I'm not gonna come on here like these other content creators, like, oh well, Errol Spence got to kiss the ring, like yo, my man, like Errol Spence is not a bigger deal than fucking than what Bud Crawford is, one bit. Now, if you wanted to, and the thing is too that these same content creators, Danielle Robinson, the reason I bring it up is because a year ago they were on AJ's ass for doing the same shit. I mean, and AJ was making bread when he was taking other fights besides Wilder. He could have made a lot more bread fighting Wilder. That's $100 million fight. But when AJ was doing this other shit, like besides fighting Wilder, he was still making bread. And I'm not an AJ fan one iota. But Errol, I mean, Errol got to find bread if he wants to make money for a Ugas fight. So to me, it's completely different. And I only use it as an example because a lot of these content creators, again, like 2 years ago, were fronting big time. And I thought like a lot, and I'm not gonna front too. I started watching a lot of these content creators because I thought that they were keeping it a buck when it came to the argument between Wilder and AJ. Like, and when they were saying like, oh, that these dudes are shitting on Wilder, like the black man, like, Eddie Hearn was trying to be a colonizer. I was co-signing all that shit. Like, word up, like that, like, I agree. But when they try to switch it up and then shit on Bud for God knows what reason 2 years later, I mean, these dudes, that's funny. That's super funny to me. Let me see. Not true at all. Wilder had no excuse not to make good fights coming up. I mean, but Bob Sanders, you gotta tell me the dudes that were like actively calling out Wilder during that time. Usyk, of all those dudes, sort of called out Wilder when he moved up to the division, but and I think that was after he fought that his first heavyweight fight. I forget. I think Tim something. But besides that, you never saw like Usyk like actively calling out Wilder. You didn't see AJ, who was holding the 3 belts, like actively calling out Wilder. You didn't see Charles Martin, who had a belt, calling out Wilder. So and a lot of those dudes, I mean, or a lot of cats who were trying to fight AJ during that time, like, or get a big payday off of AJ during that time. And I don't blame the opposition for trying to fight AJ, like, but during that time, it was like more of an argument of what Wilder didn't do versus what AJ is doing or has been doing, but Wilder had just way less opportunities. Jennings, Mola, Fedorov, Tony Thompson, Chambers, Wak, Dmitrenko, Perez, all guys he could have fought almost 10 years ago now. No, I'm not going to debate that contention. I mean, I think he could have fought some of those dudes along the way, but even like a lot of the cats you mentioned, they're not like dudes that like would have been brought into that debate of who AJ fought versus who Wilder fought. And you would have been saying, oh well, Wilder fought Tony Thompson, like, so he got to get this fight, or you know what I'm saying, like, or Wak, like nobody would have been like giving like Wilder props for fighting like a Wak. You know what I'm saying? Like when this argument was happening, I agree. My bad, bro. I can't really see off the laptop, so I got to read it off my TV. Let me see. I agree, Bob. No excuses. Wilder didn't fight nobody, and good thing he didn't, because for real, he's not cold like that. But I think Wilder would have beat the shit out of AJ during that time. Personally, I think AJ gets hit too much, and I think Wilder hitting him. I mean, it's an easy assessment, but it is what it is. Yeah, you're right. And I said AJ should have fought Wilder. Nah, for sure. And Bob Sanders is replying to Daniel Robinson. It would have been good had he lost early, because he would have been a much better fighter with actual skills. We wouldn't be talking about KO losses to Mr. Potato Head. In that, you're saying Fury, but I think Fury is a lot more skilled than people give him credit for. But if you don't agree with like skill, that Fury is very skilled as people give him credit for, but Fury was really bad for Wilder. Fury knows how to use his weight. Wilder is a fighter that, I mean, like would have trouble with not being able to get out of being clinched and shit like that. Fury could fight though too, man. I'm gonna stop fronting on Fury. Passing by, salute. Hey, Watcher, what it is, bro? Watcher, answer my WhatsApp response. Who are you, Bob Sanders? I don't know if are you on the little WhatsApp clip? Probably. Fury is the second most overrated fighter in boxing. Yeah, I mean, my co-host shits on Fury big time. But right now, do I see Fury beating Usyk? A lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I think Fury beats Usyk. Would Fury wash AJ? Absolutely. Would Fury wash Wilder again? No question. But do I think like he's like world class? Nah, because like I mean, like if I had to pick Fury against like dudes back in the day, there's a lot of mid-level dudes that would have beat Fury, like in the 90s, 80s. I mean, it's not saying much. I mean, like, but because you could say that about any weight. But do I think Fury is good for this era? Absolutely, he's the best in this era at heavyweight. Better than Usyk. Not more skilled than Usyk, but I think he would beat Usyk because he's a bigger guy. And Fury knows how to fight dirty too. Super bad matchup for most. Fury is not overrated. I don't agree with that. Bob Jewelry gives everybody problems. You talk about a 69 guy or a 6'9" guy who can move, who has defense, can fight from the outside, inside, and can take a punch. Yeah, and the thing is too, the biggest part of Fury, the hardest part of Fury, is the twitching bullshit that he does. Like the fact that Fury's always moving, like that he's always seems like he's gonna do something with his hands. Bro, if you were to fight somebody in a regular street fight like that for 30 seconds, you ain't gonna be thinking, oh, he's not gonna do shit, and like he's not gonna, like when he's fainting. Like if you had a dude like Fury, not even a big guy like that, like a short guy, and he's moving around and twitching all the time, where you think he's gonna hit you all the time, bro, you would probably throw 2 or 3 punches, like you would be reacting to all of that shit. Now, picture somebody in the ring reacting to all that shit for 12 rounds. I mean, if you guys have fought like one round of boxing, that shit is tough, bro. But picture a guy who's way bigger than you, who knows how to clinch, fights dirty, probably talks shit the whole time. It's just tough. Like Fury is a tough guy to beat, bro. You know, and I don't want to give him credit if God forbid something bad happens to him, like ODs or some shit. Like, I don't want to give him credit down the line. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me see. Yeah, we can't compare eras though. Yeah, I try not to. I mean, but the thing is, like, I've been giving Fury his props here, and a lot of dudes like think that I'm like out of my mind. But Fury, I'll put it like this, bro. Fury, same body type, like at 168 or 175, let's say, would give mad dudes headache at 165. Yeah, does Fury's skill set, is Fury's skill set better than a Caleb Plant's? Absolutely. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. And you're talking about a Fury who I see diminishing. Fury looked a lot worse than he did in the third fight than he did in the second fight. But is Fury pound for pound have more of a skill set than a Caleb Plant? In my eyes, he does. Let me see. Sorry, I gotta read it off the TV. Damn, what the fuck was I? Thank you, bro. Move like you are talking about. That's scary. Yeah, definitely. Yes, Fury is the best for this era and is a stylistic nightmare matchup for any heavyweight. Yeah, I mean, and like I don't know why like people think that Usyk is gonna roll through him, bro. That's I mean, and Usyk is really skilled. Usyk, same thing. I think if he were at 170 with his skill set, would wash a lot of these dudes. But just Fury's like mad big too, bro, and he got a little skill. Daniel Robinson, go to your poster or say what's up to your neighborhood bus driver. They're big guys who couldn't go pro in ball. They could move too. Thank you, bro. Like what you are talking about, that's a scary. Yeah, bro. But and with Wilder too. I mean, like, how many dudes did Wilder go into the ring where they were like markedly like bigger than him or taller than him? Not only was Fury bigger than Wilder, but he's markedly taller than Wilder. I mean, it's just tough, bro. Very tough. Come on, Bob. That's a terrible analogy. Um, that's not even close to being the same. Fury is gifted now. If you don't like him, cool. But saying that he's not a very gifted fighter, especially for his size, nah, Bob. I think I don't know if that's what Bob's contention, but I can't agree with that wholeheartedly, Bob. Like, you know, at some point, bro, like, you know, and he may walk it off with like 3 more victories now. and like then retire. But like Fury doesn't have like a big fan base now. If anything, Fury has a large fan base that started like getting on him when he beat Wilder. Basically Wilder haters. But like there's no like besides ESPN, like there's nobody like on YouTube I've seen like that. Like, and it's not like I'm trying to make a lane for myself, but like they don't give Fury enough credit. And you know, again, bro, like you know, at the end of this era, even Wilder haters are gonna talk good about Wilder in the future. Now, and I talk good about Wilder in spite of the fact that you don't think he has dope skills, but Wilder has world class power. You know, comparable to Mike Tyson power, if not beyond Mike Tyson power. Because Wilder wasn't setting up his shots. Mike Tyson set up some of his shots. But the fact that Fury um had an answer to Wilder's power and then goes on to like pretty much fight Wilder's fight in fight 3 and like wash him. I mean, I gotta give him his roses. Let me see. Daniel Robinson. I don't like him, but I've said he's overrated for years. What I'm not gonna do is change the goalpost. There are way too many Fury nut huggers. I don't know, Bob. Like you gotta like let me know too. Like as far as like dudes that again I don't get around like on YouTube like that or like social media, but I haven't seen like if anything I'm on YouTube more than it than other social media, but I haven't seen like a channel that is that is like real quick to give Fury mad props and shit on anything that's not Fury. Like I've seen a lot of channels like that for AJ or for Errol or for Wilder even, but I don't see that like presence online. Maybe you. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I just haven't contended with them or peeped it like on a personal level. There are way too many Fury nut huggers. That's debatable. Maybe you could tell me that. Wilder lost because of Wilder. I mean, how could you not guys not see that? Honestly, bro, Bob, I don't think that there was, and this is me being honest, bro. And like I've had this argument offline, bro. Like I really don't think that there was anything Wilder could have done differently and beat Fury. I mean, like, and I know it's an easy target by because I mean I never liked Malik Scott as his choice of trainers. Like I think that was a terrible move. I thought that he brought Malik Scott in because Malik Scott wasn't gonna was gonna bow down and like listen, not take be cool with Wilder like being lax as far as training camps going, all that shit. But in spite of all that, I think Wilder could have resurrected Emmanuel Stewart, and he would have not beat Fury. Like based on like the fact that Wilder started off late, you know what I'm saying? Like it's tough. Like I like the first time I boxed in my life, I was probably like 6 or 7, and I got fucked up. And I remember the kid's name too. His name is Christian, and I remember the kid's name because when I was older, he jumped me. Um, and it's actually an embarrassing story when I got jumped. I'll say that story. I don't give a shit, but it's embarrassing not because I got jumped, because I've been jumped other times, but it's embarrassing because something happened while I got jumped. But it only happened because I was really scared because my little brother was with me when I got jumped, and my little brother was like a baby at that point. He was like 4 or 5, so I was like worried about him. But the dude, like when I first boxed at like 6, I didn't box again. Like I stopped boxing and I started boxing again at like 17 years old. When I got to like the gym at 17, like pretty much no trainer wanted to work with me. And in that gym, like at the end of the day, like, nobody worked with me like seriously. Like they worked here and there. Like if I did good in sparring, like they would like sort of coach me up a little bit. try to like refine my jab. I didn't know how to jab really well. Um, but no matter what I did, like I couldn't get a leg up. But I couldn't get a leg up in that gym because I started late in their eyes. I started at 17. Now Wilder started like after I started. Like so, imagine him. Even though Wilder punches 1,000 times harder than I could ever punch, but there is something to that twitchiness. You start to learn from growing up in boxing, and Wilder just didn't have that opportunity. But in spite of all that, I give Wilder mad props, bro. Like fucking let me see. Did I read that? Involved. That's your opinion, and you're allowed to have your opinion. I don't think he's so much overrated, and I don't really think that the crop of heavyweight is that great now right now. Yeah, the crop of heavyweights right now isn't that great. It did get better than like the Klitschko era, but that's more of a fact that the Klitschko era was ass cheeks. But this era, like the AJ like Fury era, was better than the Klitschko era, but not by a whole lot. But again, another thing, Prime Klitschko, Fury, nope. And like people will say I'm tripping, but I think Prime Fury would beat Prime Klitschko, Vladimir Klitschko. And Bob, you seem like an older guy. I'm 40. I'm 40 years old. So am I. And I remember a different era of heavyweight fighters. So maybe you thinking about it from that standpoint of a different era. Yes, the heavyweight division is very poor. Well, I hope you guys are ready for just about the same level of poor division because there ain't shit coming down the pipe at heavyweight that that's gonna say, wow, we got some dope fighters coming down the pipe. And I'm not a Fury fan. Like Fury's not my favorite fighter. He's not like my second favorite fighter. I mean, I was just giving the man his respect that he's earned as a fighter. I'm a farmer. That's what's up, Donald. I know you a farmer. Oh, I'm a farmer. My bad. Tevin Farmer started at 19. Look at his skills. We need to start holding people accountable. I didn't know I didn't know Tevin Farmer started at 19. Bob Sanders. So I respect him from a combat sport standpoint of peer to peer. I've never been a world champion or nothing, but I participate in practice the sport my entire life, and that's where my respect comes from. No, and like if you practice your whole life, bro, like if and I'm not shitting on you one bit, Danielle Robinson, but even if I would have stood practicing my whole life, me like and I wasn't that skilled, bro, like because they were like in my gym, like out of my age group, there weren't that many dudes fighting there, but maybe I was like top 5. I don't know, like, and that's not great because there were probably like 20 people in the gym. But um, I don't think like knowing what it takes, like as far as like how much every round wears you out, how much gloves feel like they like weigh like 30 pounds after like fighting for 6 rounds. I don't think that I could replicate like what Fury does had I stood in the gym like even like that whole time, but let alone from like 18 and on. Let me see. Okay, Bob. Well, my bad, young man. Laugh out loud. I just figured you might have been a little older, but at the same time, your opinion is your opinion, and I respect that. I respect I respect that. Nah, that's what's up, bro. There's no beef, bro. And Bob, how the hell you 20 years old with that like profile picture, bro? You look like your older cat. No dissing. What's up with the black don't crack, bro? You look like you're 35 in that picture. Let me see. Say no to Klitschko Prime would beat Fury. Fury was in his prime in that fight, and that was a close competitive fight. That shit wasn't close or competitive at all, bro. It wasn't the blowout people made it out to be. It was a blowout, bro. It wasn't a blowout because he wasn't landing when he wanted to. I think like Fury probably thought that he couldn't knock him out, and I think Fury like kind of had it in his head that if he wanted to play keep away, um, and hit him 90 times throughout the fight, but like give him like a B hop treatment where like, okay, yeah, you're not like really giving him concussive shots, and you're not really landing like crazy shots on him, but you're definitely winning the fight. Like how a la B Hop, you know, I thought that Fury probably thought in his mind like I could easily win a fight in that fashion, and he did. Let me see. Daniel Robinson, no, it's all good. I just read a lot and watch tape. Wilder didn't train correctly. He wasn't hitting mitts. He wasn't hitting the bag. He wasn't doing a lot of fundamental and technical things that you need as a fighter. In that you learned, you know. Yeah, and he did. I mean, if there was any time, even if it would have been a fruitless effort, even if it would have been like that, Bob, that Wilder would have not learned anything from Malik Scott. I mean, or from this last training camp, but to bring in Malik Scott in your, you know, win or go home, like your most important fight to date, and you bring in Malik Scott, bro. Malik Scott, come on, bro. Malik Scott is basically at this stage like trying to make a lane for himself, like that trainer Blu-ray dude, like, you know, that's just a hanger on, bro. You think Malik Scott's gonna like grab up Wilder, like, yo, like fuck, like you gotta do what the fuck I'm telling you? Absolutely not, bro. Malik Scott was probably going out and getting sandwiches and shit like that, Burger King, or washing Wilder's cars, like fucking training Wilder like once a week. Wilder probably insulted him a few times. Let me see. Respect, Bob. That's a beautiful thing, man, especially at your age, because a lot of people don't read or watch tape, film study enough about things like that. Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with you, Hundo, on that one, Daniel. I love when young people are into the sport, especially on a studying the sport, if you will. Don't trip, bro. A5 player. I've been jumped and I didn't been beat up like that. I didn't lose a fight with all types of shit, bro. Like, bro, when you're a man, that's part of life. Yeah, I've taken a lot of ass whoopings, bro. Like fucking and I was cool with people after I took an ass whooping. I've been beat by the same dude like 4 times, I think, in street fights. And I fought him 4 times within like 2 or 3 months. And I got whooped every time. And he wasn't even a big guy like that either. Let me see. No, but this one I'm gonna say I actually I'm gonna make a video about the time that I got jumped with my brother, like because one, I had that association with him, with the dude that jumped me. I knew who he was, but um he jumped me on some sucker shit because he hit me with like a rock or something. Like after he hit me, I couldn't see immediately. Like 1 second after he hit me, I like I could hear what was going on, but he didn't knock me out. But the thing is that he caught me so good, like, and he caught me inside like one of my eyes, and like my other eye was tearing so much that I couldn't see shit. But that's not the eventful part of the story or the embarrassing part of the story. Um, I'll get to the embarrassing part some other video. Daniel Robinson, yeah, Wilder's issue started midway in his amateur career. No coach to grab a hold of him. Maybe. I mean, it could would Wilder would have been a markedly better fighter had he been trained up from that level? Yes, he would have, bro. Like some people, you know, no, and like the thing is too, like if Wilder would have been trained up like from 22 on, let's say, Wilder would have been a markedly better fighter. But JD's, I don't think he's the guy. I didn't think he was ever the guy like that. And Malik Scott, ultimately, bro. Like, I mean, if JD's is kind of like the rep of a yes man, I mean, like, you know, what the hell is Malik Scott? That message read wrong. I have lost and I have been jumped. I have lost fights one-on-one. Yeah, I've lost many one-on-ones, bro. Like fucking I've been in fights too where like a lot of times you feel adrenaline, but I've been in fights where I'm like, shit, this motherfucker hits really hard, bro. That shit hurts. Like from punch number one, like fucking it's no big deal. As long as you're not a pussy, bro, like fucking even if you are, bro, I have friends that are fucking straight like coward, like that won't like, but so long as you don't get me into shit, or like so long as you don't run if I get jumped, because that just gives like a bad message, like I'm cool. You know, you don't gotta jump in, like if I'm getting jumped, I don't care. My I didn't get jumped, but one time on my mom's roof, I was throwing water balloons, and my mom's roof is connected to three other buildings, and I seen motherfuckers coming out of every building, and my cousin did the dip on me, bro. Like my cousin bounced, he left me there, fucking with fucking water balloons, and I was probably like 13 at that time, and these dudes are like 18 plus. My cousin bounced by like pretty much running through the dudes too. Like all the exits were covered. He got past the people and he left me behind. Like fucking but I still love him. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't jump me though, thankfully. They could have too. They could have thrown me off that fucking roof. Facts. That poor Jared, that kid Jared Anderson has a lot of potential. I don't think so, bro. I think he's all right, but I think he's like at the level of I can't even say, but I don't think he's gonna really roll through the division, even in a best case scenario. I hope I'm wrong though. I have mad love for American boxers, and it's not like I'm like riding with them, like I gotta be patriotic or some shit. Like fucking no, it's more of a sense of like at the end of the day, historically, when American heavyweights especially have done good, the sport flourishes, and Wilder's a good case of that. Like people didn't say that the heavyweight division was dead. If you guys recall, people didn't say that the heavyweight division was dead on the heels of like AJ loss. Now I'm not saying that it was dead on the heels of a Wilder loss, but right now it sounds and smells like it's really dead. Even though I think that the one or two most talented guy at heavyweight still hasn't lost, and he's still the biggest like um like the guy with the most props, but still it does feel like the heavyweight division is dead, even though Fury's at the top of it. But that just means that the sport is kind of like ass cheeks and the division is kind of ass cheeks. He needed someone with real authority to get him right. Yeah, I mean, like, he should have brought in the help of my other contributor, Tyrone Smith, man. Like I think he could have set him in the right direction. If you guys don't know, my rolling partner, a lot of times, Ty, he shits on Wilder's recent decisions pretty heavily. He has a lot of love for Malik Scott though. Like I don't know why, but I'm just kidding. He shits on Malik Scott, but I agree with him on those points too. But at the end of the day, listen, like fucking, there's a lot of dudes that like were giving Wilder no criticism, no fucking, like, oh well, do this different, that different. Like there were dudes on the internet that were making it seem like fucking Wilder was fucking Maya Angelou, Martin Luther King, fucking Ali, um, Nas, all into one. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like people were making too many assumptions. And like I think that if you criticize them, like dudes are jumping on you here on YouTube. And it is what it is. I mean, but it was his decision ultimately, like to go with Malik Scott. It was a shitty one, but I mean, like looking back at it, like could he have done different things along the way too? Yeah, but I mean, again, I mean, could PBC had taken a role in that too? I mean, at no point did PBC seem like that Wilder was their main guy, like, or they were all ultimately committed heavy duty into Wilder until Wilder got a belt. Like, I mean, and yeah, that was late in the game, but they seemed like they were like more committed to that Mitchell guy who was trash, the Spartan, the dude that used to play for Michigan State. They seemed that they were committed more to in a sense, Andy Ruiz, even though that was a short run, but I don't know. Maybe they should have gotten his ear. The venerable Al Heyman, like the god, the demigod Al Heyman, and told Wilder like, listen, like fucking, we got to throw a different team into your camp. But that's neither here nor there. It's hindsight. Yeah, you're right, Bob. No, yes, man. These guys be putting too many yes men around them, and like you said, nobody to hold them accountable to make them enforce them train them and do things they the right way. Yeah, I mean, and you got a bunch of enablers online too, man. Like where if you shade one of these guys even a little bit, like they want to fucking kill you. Like, yo, these dudes are basically just entertaining you. And the thing is too, like Wilder, as far as outside of the ring, um, from what I know, like my cousin met Wilder, and I know somebody else who has met Wilder, and they actually say like Wilder's a fucking good dude, bro. I mean, like, could he be putting on? Like, yeah, but um, like when my cousin met Wilder, Wilder already was a champion, and he was chopping it up with him for a minute. Because my cousin's a like MMA kickboxer. He boxes too though. But and he was telling Wilder like that he fights. You know, my cousin's like, you know, so Wilder is like a nobody, but he was chopping it up with him in Vegas, like on the strip, in Vegas or LA, one of the strips. But he was chopping up with him for a minute. You know, so it's not like I'm gonna like from what I hear, he's sounds like he's pretty humbled still. That's good, but at the end of the day, I mean, like, does that mean that I can't criticize him? Like, fuck no, bro. Like, come on, like anybody's if you're in the public circle, bro, like I don't care who it is, bro. Like fucking you're up to get criticized on, bro. And that just because like somebody's criticizing whoever doesn't mean it's like always like with these other intentions, like fucking race or you know, God knows what. It's like it's corny, bro. Like we can't even talk online anymore, bro. Like especially on the internet, bro. What happened to the internet, bro? Like fucking the internet was dope before, like fucking finding weird shit. Now everything's a fucking vaccine advertisement, or it's fucking people clutching their pearls like they're fucking offended by fucking menial shit. But that's the old internet, my friends. This internet that's provided to you by Foul Play Ski, hopefully, is a little bit different, just based on candidness. And the thing too, bro, like as far as if you guys are kind of like newcomers to here, bro, like I don't know shit about boxing like that, bro. I'm not gonna front on you like fucking like I'm I know like fucking boxing. I even cringe at me bringing up the fact that I boxed a little bit because I didn't box like that. Like fucking, I boxed with like people that were world champions. I boxed with a world champion, but but I still cringe at even bringing up myself at times because I'm not a fucking boxer, or I don't know boxing like analytics and shit like that, or you know, I don't watch every fight. In fact, I watch way less fights than the next dude, bro. Like, cause a lot of these fights aren't intriguing like that. But am I gonna be candid? Like fucking while I'm on this platform, fuck yeah. Like, am I gonna shy away from like speaking like how I want to speak? Absolutely not. Like fucking am I gonna shit on other channels if I think they're corny? Yes. Fuck IML Will and fuck Mr. Shelton. And if you got an issue with me, like fucking it's not that kind of party, but there are like a lot of cornballs on this format who make it feel like you can't say what you want to say, like fucking at any point, bro. It's not that kind of party. At the end of the day, bro, like these boxes, even if they're riding for you and yours like that, bro, like it's just a fucking sport. You know, a boxer could be Mr. Puerto Rican, like fucking independence and fucking. I mean, if he gets his ass whooped all the time, like fucking, like, am I gonna like start like fucking capping for him and saying that he got cheated and shit like that? And speaking of Puerto Rican boxers, we have the distinction as Puerto Ricans of having the first gay boxer. So it's quite the victory. Yeah, another accomplishment. Much love to Puerto Rico. We bagged the first Puerto Rican boxer that was well, the first gay boxer happened to be Puerto Rican. So it brings tears to my eyes. These milestones, and the dude went in there with the rainbow trunks in the pattern of the Puerto Rican flag, bro. I was so pissed. Let me see. You guys be putting up too many yes men. Oh, I think I read that. I'm sorry. Did you see Drew Titan's new video? Nah, I don't check for something like that. I mean, like Drew Titan's from New York, like I'm from New York, but I've probably watched of his content total, and I'm not like trying to do it like to shit on the dude. I mean, if he takes it that way, fuck it. But if I've watched like combined like his like throughout my life or throughout me knowing who he was, like 30 minutes of Drew Titan's content, that's a lot. It might be less than that. Like I don't check for all these dudes like that. Again, like I'm not on YouTube like that. Like fucking like, and it's not like shitting on the dude, but well, I am gonna shit on the dude in a little bit, like or a little bit, but like that's more like that kind of content is just placating to like one fighter or like fucking. And again, I have a strong suspicion that some of these dudes do be taking like marching orders, like or they do um like follow a code, if you will. Like they've said it themselves. Or at the very least, like when certain people like amongst those cats over there, like cover a fighter favorably or shit on a different fighter, i.e., like Cambosos, they're shitting on him pretty heavy now. Tiafimo, they always shit on him. Bud Crawford, they always shit on him. But I think that when a lot of those guys over there, and it's not like shitting on everybody over there, bro, because I have a mad love for certain LDBC cats, like and their content. And even the ones that make shitty content now, like I think they're like decent people, some of them. But I think that over there, some people have made the commitment of like, if we're gonna cover a certain guy favorably, like, then we're never gonna say anything bad about him. Or if we're gonna shit on a certain group of people or a certain group of fighters, we're never gonna say anything good about them. Like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But like at the end of the day, that does start becoming corny because if you got on the horn and like covered Bud Crawford's fight heavy duty, like, and you're just shitting on it like after the fact, then I could even live with that. But after it's fucking cold. After Crawford beat Porter, they sort of covered it, but it was more like along the lines like as if Porter got cheated or as if Bud did something funny or wasn't a real win. Shit like that. And then they stopped talking about the fight. But never amongst that, I mean, and I don't hear all these dudes like that. But one thing I didn't hear from those guys, like in the aftermath of the Bud Crawford fight, was give Bud mad credit. They never given Bud credit along the way at all. I mean, and if I do remember things correctly, maybe they were giving Bud Crawford a little bit of credit, like during like the Felix Diaz era and shit, when he seemed like a fight with him and Errol was a little bit farther away. But even back then, like I didn't see those dudes making a commitment to Errol like that. Like they really started making a real commitment to Errol around the time where it seemed like Errol didn't want to fight Bud Crawford. I don't know why. I think Errol gave some of those dudes access, like Black, even though he was saying pussy ass shit when he was on Black Fight Fans channel. But sometime around that time, like maybe because of access, they started giving or they made the decision to give Errol favorable coverage. It is what it is though, but at this stage, I mean, you gotta switch it up, bro. Like, I mean, or if you don't switch it up, I mean, like, not that I matter like that, but I'm gonna be here like to pop shots at you, like fucking here and there. I mean, like, my comments on any of this stuff could be offensive to certain people, but believe me, I could say a lot worse. Not that I know like any other things like behind the scenes stuff, even though I do know some things behind the scenes, but I can say a lot worse than what I've said. Like similar to like what I say about I am ill will regularly, like when I get a fucking an itch to do it. Like fucking but I can say far worse than that stuff. I mean, I think I'm being light, you know. But I think that if you guys like subscribe to fucking content creator like fucking that makes it seem like you can't be commenting on another content creator content and shit like that, then that content creator probably sleeps with men, although he may be a man. Let me see. He said Wilder KOs Mike Tyson both in their prime. I don't know. Not in his prime though. The thing is too that Mike in his prime, is not like the Mike. I think Mike in his prime was the younger Mike, and that's the best Mike I've seen. The cringiest part was upping Deontay's resume. Resume wise, though, like I mean, you have no argument there. But could Wilder had cross paths with um with Tyson and beat him along the way? I think it's a possibility. I think it's a good possibility too, especially like the post jail Mike, right before jail Mike. Mike was losing a little bit of luster. But if you guys want to ask me anything too, that's another thing too. You guys can ask me anything like fucking and I'm not like shy about certain shit like fucking at any point in the future, like fucking you know unless it's like something like mad personal, like I'm not gonna tell you like where I live like currently because well, as far as giving my address out, like I given like the address of where I hang out and shit like that. I'm not gonna do no stupid shit and tell you my house is here because fucking personally I know a big YouTube person, and 2 times people showed up to his house. You know what I'm saying? Like fucking and it's not that I fear somebody showing up to my house, but I fear somebody like recording me, like if I like hit them or some shit, like fucking, and I got a lot to lose, like fucking for some weirdo, like a legit weirdo online. And another thing too, bro, I hate when people say like the weirdo, oh, you know, but Bud is trying to get like like Bud's moving kind of weird. Like, bro, like that's how, like dudes on YouTube, like yeah, you know, like I agree with a lot of that shit, but yeah, but Bud's kind of weird. You know how Bud like yo, and I'm not shitting on anybody who's on YouTube all the time because I'm on YouTube a lot too. But we, you, me, fucking the people on these chats, like fucking that are calling um another fighter weird, or weird is like the corniest diss like nowadays. Weird is basically like I don't agree, but I'm too pussy to say like I don't like this person outright. Oh, he's weird. Like fucking let somebody call me weird, like especially some of you young cats, like fucking and you hear the earful, like fucking or the grabbing up that'll happen. But no, like there's no the weird shit is how these people go above and beyond to cover like their eyes when they see a certain fighter act funny. That's fucking weird. Or the fact that you make it seem like Wilder using one quote, you know, all of a sudden like that. If you diss for Wilder, like using till this day once that if you then criticize anything about Wilder, that all of a sudden you're fucking David Duke or some shit. You know, that's fucking weird. You know, you could talk about whatever the fuck you want here, bro. Like, so long as it's nothing against kids or fucking hurting animals and shit like that, like fucking you know, and as far as me personally, I'm very candid as far as answering stuff. So long as it doesn't get me in trouble, like fucking or compromise my job and shit like that, like fucking I'll answer anything. But I do want to make more like content like about different shit in the future. Like I've been saying that, but a lot of the stuff like that I want to cover in the future, like, at least in the short term, is stuff that I like really know, like fucking that I think will be cool. You know what I'm saying? Like I know a lot about like the gang stuff from like the 90s New York and 2000, like fucking I would like to talk about that stuff. Um uh there was somebody who was actually sort of fucking with the idea of giving me an interview in relation to the gang stuff, but I think he's like still involved because somebody else told me something that made it seem like he's still like involved. So I don't think he's gonna do it. But I do have other good interviews that I want to fuck with down the line. Um, I'm not gonna say this one yet because I'm still trying to figure out how phone interviews work. But one of my friends, actually, no, I want to see how a phone interview works before I even put that out there. I don't want to jinx it. But I got a really interesting interview that I'm working on right now too. Um, And I got to learn how to put like articles on the screen and shit like that, because this interview I could use like a newspaper like article about the person that I want to bring on. But just shit like that in the future. Who knows? But I hope you guys had a good time, bro. I'm gonna dip off. But thanks for coming on, man. Like regardless, like whether you comment or not, bro, like fuck, or whether you're scared, like if you feel any trepidation to comment, no problem. As long as you guys come through, bro, I'm happy. Like even if you guys come to shit on me, like it's all good. Like I'm gonna put links out there here and there, but somebody like kind of like trolled one of my links one time, and I could have been in a more hairy situation, but thankfully I wasn't. But if you want to come on here and like, even if you want to talk shit about me, to me, it's fine. It's just candid conversations. But let me know what you guys think. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I'm gonna go live later on too. But with that, I'm out. Peace.